You're always driving by train?
Yes, I'm always going by train.
Oh, let's go. So Tox, how did you get started at Serverius?
I started as a PHP programmer 4 years ago. Before that, I was working for other companies doing programming, freelance work, teaching kids.
Are you a self-taught programmer?
Totally.
Yeah, really? So the old school
I learned by starting to hack games.
hack games.
Yes, I had to learn programming so I could actually automate my hacks.
Oh yeah.
That's how it all started long ago.
But at Serverius, what is your job now?
Well, I started as a PHP programmer. By now, I'm responsible for the Spark department, which is focusing especially on everything related to electricity. So, by now, it's programming, but it's also managing systems, communicating with other departments, solving problems.
What does Spark mean? What does it do?
Well, Spark is a reference to like an electrical spark, because the department is all about electricity. Mainly what we do is work on the systems that are used to measure electricity, so we can report like usages, so we can report them to customers, but also for ourselves, so we have an insight in where we use electricity, how much we use, if we are close to restrictions on our usage, that kind of deal.
And so the department started with you?
It started with me and 2 other programmers. By now we have a 4th in the team, Jana, who's a specialist in AI.
So you're going to use the AI as well?
That's the idea. AI is one of the key things in the future. This is one of the cases where it is really useful in our opinion. So yeah, we're now starting and let's see where that takes us.
All right.
We'll see what else we can come up with for AI. There's a lot of possibilities.
That sounds great. So let's head to the data center then.
Yes.
So we are here now at DC2. Do you often work here, or almost never?
I'm here about every 2 weeks. Usually we work it out, and every 2 weeks we have like this social gathering to meet other departments and talk about stuff that's a bit easier to do in real life, person to person.
Yeah, well, a little bit of what do you call it? Bonding.
Bonding, socializing. That's also needed for work.
Yeah, of course.
Your team is not working at full capacity.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So where are we now?
We're now entering the electric room.
Well, it's kind of loud in here.
Yeah, it's not the quietest place to be. But we're not here that often, so
it's okay.
Hearing is still okay.
So what are all these systems here?
Well, basically is where all the electricity for the data center comes in, where it's distributed to, for example, the UPS, the aircos, in the end also to the racks. But this is really where the electricity comes in at this first split up.
Yeah, so do you also like measure power here, or is it basically only at the racks?
No, we measure at the rack level, we measure at the LE level, but also systems like the UPS, the switches, and so on. So we measure basically from the moment it enters the comes from the traffic throughout the data center in different places we measure.
Nice.
So that we can get a good idea of what is used where. So how much do we use for cooling, how much do we actually use for the racks, and so.
You showed us a couple of things and also told us a couple of things. But I was wondering, what is your personal interest in all the power and the solution side of it?
Personal interest starts with the personal interest in electronics, basically. And with the work here, I got to work more and more with electricity. And, well, that does remind me of stuff I did earlier, like for my hobby interests. This is like the large scale of it.
Yeah.
That makes it quite interesting. I mean, that's not... Like at home I have a 9-volt battery and I can't kill myself with it. Here we actually have stuff that is dangerous. So it becomes a bit more interesting to work with.
Because you kind of built this, well, I don't want to say by yourself, but you played a big part in the role of getting everything up and running and providing insights to customers. How did you manage that? Because you kind of created it out of nothing.
Well, out of nothing is not quite correct. The R&D department did build a basic system for it as soon as the electricity prices were shooting up. But that system was built in a hurry. And basically I started stepping in with moving the system to a new programming language that is actually more suited for the use case.
Which is
Go. And originally it was made in PHP, but because of the amount of data and the frequency you have to retrieve this data and process it, PHP was not suited for it anymore. And we started running into more and more problems because of it. So that's basically where the Spark department starts with building we call it version 1.5 of the system to be able to actually process all of this data in a timely fashion.
So you started this project, and how did you start it? Because you have to start somewhere. I'm presumably measuring the data and providing graphs, or what was the thought process behind that?
Well, we already had the system in place for collecting data, but for us the starting point was then to closely analyze the data to find the problems in there, because all the measuring systems can encounter errors, and that differs per system we're working with. So we had to find a proper way to deal with all these, as we call it, edge cases.
Is it also like the future of this project? Because eventually we hope that the energy crisis will resolve, of course.
Well, basically we're looking forward to the energy crisis being resolved, because then we can work on the even more interesting stuff, which would be like the smart automation of the whole.
Yeah.
So think about solar panels and other energy sources, be it batteries, solar panels, windmills, and especially with the renewable sources, it's a bit tricky because they're not available constantly. So we need smart systems that can make the most use of them when they are available, and systems to actually store energy when we don't need it, so we can use it when we need it. And that would, in the long run, hopefully also result in more use of actual green energy that we produce ourselves.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.